neuroscience is having its day in the sun right now as far as all the psychological approaches go. But they're finding out a lot of stuff about your body that has really, your brains and your muscles have their own neurological loops that run by themselves. Now, your brain kind of oversees the whole thing, but your muscles, just look at reaction times and stuff. Your body reacts to stuff all the time, and it's not involving your brain. It involves your central nervous system. But what happens is this. People start thinking. When they start thinking, it changes the muscle memory. If you were able to literally just cut off your head, you'd probably play a lot better than you do right now. So sometimes the very, very best advice you can give somebody on a golf course is to turn your head off.
Golf Smarter, number 747, is brought to you by Cryo-Free CBD Pain Relief Roll-On by Omax Health. Get 20% off Pain Relief Roll-On and free shipping with Golf Smarter at checkout at omaxhealth.com. And stay tuned to hear details on how you can win a custom-fit Seemore Putter next week. You just heard what he had to say. If you cut off your head, you'd play better golf with Bill Beausay.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome to the Golf Smarter podcast, Bill.
Hi, Fred. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good to see you.
It's good to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much for reaching out. I find your stuff fascinating. MindRev Labs, correct? Is that Mind Revolution?
Mind Revolution, revving.
You're revving your engines? What are we revving?
Revving your engines, Mind Revolution. It can be, it fits both hats. So that's why I use it. It's kind of fun. I can use it.
So what is MindRev Labs?
I've been in the mental edge business for a long time. What we're trying to do right now is we are reimagining high performance psychology. I'm trained as a research psychologist, so my perspective is not so much from helping people that are broken, but is developing new ways for people to use their brains in new ways in highly competitive environments. And so we're all about recreating the way people use their brains. And we're built basically on 4 basic rules. And that is, number 1, your brain is not you. You are not your brain. It's a tool that you use inside your head. You are actually your attention and where you place your focus. 99% of what it does is completely out of sight. That's rule number 3. And rule number 4 is you control it or it controls you. That's all there is. So people need to learn, and we've used this in all kinds of highly competitive environments, from business to life success to my favorite, golf. And just teaching people to use their brains in new ways. And this is all stuff that they probably never heard before. And it's always very fresh, and it works very, very well and very fast.
I'm fascinated by you are not, it is not you and you are not it.
Well, when you take that perspective, it changes everything.
Yeah.
You see what happens, Fred, and this, you're a golfer. We all are. We have a tendency to think the problem is us. It's like me. And when you find out that, no, it's just some stuff your brain learned to do, every failure, everything that chokes off great performance in golf is something you learn to do. Your brain learned to do it. And it can learn to do new things. But you have to train it. And if you see, here's the problem. If you think that the problem is you, well, then you're stuck. Whereas if you think the problem is my brain, I got to teach you new things. It opens up tons of new opportunities, and it takes the pressure off you too, big time.
And how easy is it to fall back into old habits?
Yeah, old habits are, it's kind of funny. That's another way to look at it. One way is to say it's easy to fall into old habits. The other way to look at it is old habits are very brittle and break easily. And it's just, it's funny. Old habits are kind of, it's like a Rorschach test. You see what you expect to see. If you look at it and say, oh, these old habits I'm stuck with them and it's going to ruin me forever, and I'm lucky if I have a good round and get past them. Or you say, you know what, there is probably a system to how that thing got there in the first place, and there's probably a system to how to get out of it. So we are all about creating new systems for people to easily slip out of the new stuff and slip into something new. But as I've found, I hate to do all the talking here, Fred, but
No, please do.
It's funny to me how changing a bad habit is very easy. What's hard is keeping the change, because you have a tendency to slip back into it. So, you can take a lesson, and you can spend, half an hour with a golf coach, and then go out and feel like you have it, but suddenly you slip back into it. What's the key to keeping the change? I mean, that's a big, big deal. We spent a lot of time talking about how you make your brain remember new habits. It's just a different way. Not how to make you keep a new habit, but how to teach your brain to solidify these new habits in a way that's practical and on command. That's one thing to make a change, but boy, it's really nice when you've got your brain under a new set of commands, and it will do things that you want it to do. That's practically, if you look at the processes of MindRev Labs, that's the whole show. It's the whole kettle of fish.
But what if the thing that you're trying to train is a physical thing? Like, I know for me, I had taken a lesson, and the guy had me hitting this beautiful draw, which I'm a fade kind of striker, right? But he was having me hit this beautiful draw and explained how to do it. And for the next month, I was hitting this beautiful draw, and it disappeared. And I remember things that he said. I've never been able to bring it back, and I don't know what happened. Does the physical impede? Get in the way?
Impede. Yes,
does the physical impede the brain?
Your brain wants to do what's easy. It always wants to do what's easy, and the things it's done all the things is the time. That's the thing that it does easy. And what I found with people that slide back into old habits, like, you got the fade, you're hitting it, for a month, and suddenly it's not there anymore. Your brain learned how to forget things, and we have to get in. And it's fairly easy. You can watch someone as they are. You can watch someone as they learn something. You can go through it with them through a conversation and find out how they learned something new. And you can also talk to them about how they lost it. In almost every case, there's a very consistent way that people lose a physical feel. In fact, what I in the work we do with golfers, in particular, Fred, I talk about the dirty dozen. There's like about a dozen problems that all golfers face, and what you need to do is find antidotes to it. It's all kinds of stuff like, losing your feel, or lack of competitiveness, or distractibility, or your nerves go crazy, or mental clutter. And in almost every case, I'll tell you what, I find that mental clutter is just a huge deal in losing the physical feel for what you want to do. And this is the whole mind-body thing. It's how it's connected. But it's surprisingly easy to sort that out. But it's not going to happen by accident. And oftentimes, when you start to lose a feel for something, the first thing you do is you panic. And you say, holy crap, it was here, and now it's gone. What the heck's going on here? I lost it. I got to get it back. Then you kick into a whole new set of mental routines that just take you further away from where you want to go. And oftentimes, and there's not much in this business as always, that you always do this, but oftentimes, if you can get back to the mindset that you were in when you first learned to hit your fade, you can recover it fairly quickly. But the problem is, the problem is it's mixed in with a lot of other self-talk, images that you're making to yourself, bad chemistry that all leads to a lot of bad mojo, and pretty soon you're lost in the woods again.
How do you do that? How do you get back to that mindset?
I do a technique. There's a lot of different ways that it's possible to do this, but you have to understand that oftentimes you learn to do something in one very specific sensory system. Let's keep something in mind. Your brain works on 6 senses: seeing, hearing, feeling, smelling, tasting, and the last one, which is a combination of all those, called synesthesias. And your brain runs very, very fast, and it runs through this series very quickly. Probably the easiest way to go back is to remember 2 or 3 things that you gathered when you were first doing your training on how to hit the fade, go back and actually replay it in your mind, but replay it not only visually if you see, but what you were hearing, what you were feeling, what you're smelling, what you're tasting, and the synesthesias that were going on. Because when you see a really, really great shot, when you start hitting fades over and over again, that is a unique experience. Wouldn't you agree?
No, I want to hit a draw.
A draw. I'm sorry. You're a natural fade hitter. When you learn to hit the draw, it is a unique experience that you've probably never felt before, except by accident. And we spend a lot of time in this rebuilding that initial experience. Now, that doesn't mean that you can just do this in your brain and go out and hit whatever shot is that you're trying to hit. But if you can go through this in your mind, and it only takes a few seconds once you learn the procedure, but you have to do it in the right sequence. Learn it, run it over in your mind 5 or 10 times, and then run it faster and faster. You'll find that when you run that faster, your brain works better, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of counterintuitive, but the faster you run these sequences in your brain, the more your brain likes to go fast. I mean, milliseconds fast. And it can spin you out. It can run off on you. And what I often tell people, Fred, and it's just true, that the biggest problem they have is that they don't have their brain under control and it runs away on them. So when you suddenly can't hit that shot anymore, your brain starts to do the same things it always done in the past, and it runs off on you, and you have to get it back under control. That mean you're going to hit it perfectly every time? Probably not. But at least but what it does give you is several new options when you're in that spot to hone it back in again, to get back to that feel, that very unique set of feelings that you created when you were hitting it in the first place.
Fabulous. We're talking to Bill Beausay of MindRevLabs.com, and we'll continue this conversation after this word from these wonderful people who are helping support the Golf Smarter podcast. We'll be right back. This episode of the Golf Smarter podcast is brought to you by Cryo Freeze Pain Relief Roll-On from Omax Health. Oh my gosh. This weekend I didn't play golf because I was chasing around a 21-month-old little girl all weekend long, and I gotta tell you, I am so happy that I had my Cryo Freeze Pain Relief Roll-On with me because I'm not used to chasing around little kids. And this was a little kid that had a lot of energy, and there was just so much love in between us, I couldn't help myself. But at the end of the day, it hurt. And in the morning, it hurt. So I definitely pulled out the Cryo Freeze Pain Relief Roll-On, and you should too. I'm sure there's plenty of instances, whether you're chasing your own kids or someone else's, there's plenty of instances where just daily life hurts one way or another. Well, if you have pain that won't go away, then you qualify for Omax Cryo Freeze. Simply roll it on where it hurts and ice out the pain. No messy creams or horrible fragrances like some of the other products. Cryo Freeze works within minutes. Okay, maybe 10 minutes. So double-digit minutes. But most of the time, you don't know when it starts working because all of a sudden, you're not feeling the pain anymore. And it improves physical training, recovery, and performance. So go to omaxhealth.com, OMAXHEALTH, omaxhealth.com, and enter code GolfSmarter so that you can get 20% off Cryo Freeze and anything else they have on their website. I'm telling you, this product is the real deal. I really like it. I hope you do too. OMAX Health. omaxhealth.com. Enter code GolfSmarter to get 20% off site-wide. And I want to thank them so much for introducing me to a product that has really improved my life. And also thank them for sponsoring the Golf Smarter podcast. Early in this conversation, Bill, you said you're in the mental edge or you said business.
Yeah.
I wrote biz. The mental edge business.
Yeah.
What is a mental edge business?
It's almost a cliche to say that people stop themselves, but there's a lot of truth in that. And everybody can do far, far more than they think they can do. That's almost a cliche as well. We all know that. The question is, how do you do that? How do you get there? What is the best that you can possibly play your game? Well, the fact of the matter is nobody really knows. But what you can know is what your own edge is and how you can press it out. You can start to figure out, like, what do you think is possible for you? So oftentimes when I start talking with a golfer or anybody really, I say, what do you want? And they will often tell me. And I spend some time to get them to put that in positive terms. Like, it's not that, they say, I want to get rid of my inconsistency. No, what you really want is you want to gain a new edge. What's the edge? What's the furthest you ever gone? And that quickly, it kind of spins into this whole conversation of what do you think's possible for you? And the bottom line is that what you think is possible for you is just something you believe. It's not real. I mean, everything's made up, really. You can go much further than you think you can go. Well, that's your mental edge, allowing yourself to stop being controlled by what you believe is possible and start stretching to even new levels and going much, much further than you ever thought you could. I mean, when you started golfing years ago, Fred, did you think that you'd be playing in the 70s now? Well, no.
I never even made that a goal.
No. But you start playing and you start believing more and pretty soon it's there. So the mental edge is all about getting people to press themselves further than they thought they could go, using new things, not cliches, because, cliches will only take you so far. Cliches will take you as far as everybody else is believing. But if you're able to really find ways to extend your talent in ways that you hadn't thought of before, then life begins to sparkle in a new way for you. And this is very possible. It's not, sometimes I worry that some of the things I talk about are kind of woo-woo, and it's a little bit odd. It may seem like it's a little bit weird, but it's really very mechanical. I don't talk about psychological processes nearly as much as I talk about mechanical things, what you're actually doing with your brain, which kind of goes back to the whole thing about, losing your ability to have a shot and how you practice routines in your mind. I mean, there's some techniques to this, and it's all very sensory based. When I say sensory based, I mean seeing, hearing, feeling, and so on. And what I'll find, and I'll share this with you, Fred, because you were talking about, losing that certain feel. In almost every case, the part of your mental routine that's causing you the biggest problem is the part that you're paying attention to the least. If you tend to be a very visual person, well, I guarantee it's going to be a feeling is probably going to make you stumble. If you're a very auditory person, it's probably the visual part of your game that's going to make you stumble. It's the part that you pay attention to the least that makes you stumble the most. But that's just, it's difficult to talk about this sometimes without having a little bit more background of what I'm talking about here. But once you start to see this stuff, oh my gosh, it's like, well, that's easy. I mentioned the 4 rules we use in MindRev, that, your brain is not you. You are your attention. 99% of what it does is out of sight, and you control it or it controls you. Well, that part that's out of sight, what you can't see, you can't control. So I just help people see more. I help people hear more. I help people feel more and smell and taste and combine them all together in these synesthesias. That's basically what I do. That sounds easy, doesn't it?
Sure.
Actually, Fred, it is easy. Once you learn a couple little tricks, it really is not that hard. Okay. In fact, as a matter of fact, you do it anyway. You just don't know you're doing it.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, how many times, and somebody said this to me the other day. It's like, I asked them what their index is these days, since they change daily now. Yeah. And he's like, well, I'm a 12-7, but I'm really play more like a 15.
Uh-huh.
And that, to me, like the first time I got the first multiple times that I fell into the single digit realm, I didn't believe that I was that good.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't believe, I'm a 9 right now, but I'm not so sure I believe that. It's why not? You made it, right?
You're there.
You've had some rounds.
You're there. Yeah.
And recently, I've been playing some of the best golf. I shouldn't talk about this. The last time I
You're
talked about this on the show, I crashed.
You're such a bragger, Fred.
Yeah,
You're
right.
Such a bragger. I love it.
Hey, I got a podcast. I can do whatever. But it's like I announced on the show. It's like I've been playing the greatest golf, and then went out and had the worst round that I'd had in years. But I'm playing now with a lot more confidence in the sense that I understand when I make a mistake, I think I know what I did wrong, that I can correct it and what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, golf reminds me, as always, who's in charge.
Yeah.
It's like when you think you got a handle on it, right? Yeah. It's going to say, no. So I guess
let me tell you, boss here, man.
Golf gods were actually listening to my show.
Well, I tell you what, the golf gods, and wherever they are, I hope they'll ignore us when they need to ignore us and let us just have our own way. But they rule. They rule. And, the interesting thing about this is that, and I have to, whenever I work with anybody in any realm, I have to assure them it's, being a successful golfer doesn't exist in you. It's not like your heart or your lungs. It's a process, and you have to create it. You have to create it every time. I think sometimes we all go out there, and whatever our pursuit is in life, and we think that it ought to be there on command every time, without realizing that we need to create it by paying attention, by finding our zone, by practicing some of these very simple things, and not just going out there and thinking it's going to show up because you did it last time. And, like I like to tell people, all the techniques I teach, you can do them in 5 or 10 seconds. Doesn't take that long.
Wow.
To get yourself in the zone that you need to be in, and then go do it. And we can it's not perfect. You're not going to go out and hit that draw every time. However, you're going to dramatically improve the amount of times that you do, and that's really what it's about. It's improving yourself and just pushing your edges a little bit and having tools to do it. I sometimes describe your mind is like a bowling ball with no holes in it. There's no way to really, how do you get a hold of it? That's why people can't talk about it very well. It's just like this ball is slippery and you can't grab a hold. If we had just had a couple handles, just a couple little holes you could put your hands in, you could hold the dang thing. Well, MindRev is it's like a couple of holes or a couple of handles on your bowling ball. It's really what it is. And I've worked with bowlers too, so.
Of course. And do you tell basketball players, if you only had 3 holes in this basketball,
it'd be a lot easier to dunk.
Well, no, you're short. You can't dunk anyway. So forget about that.
You'll never dunk.
You'll never dunk.
And that's the thing too. There's physical limits to this. I mean,
right.
Are you ever,
and you'll never palm a basketball.
I'd probably never palm basketball. And that's okay. What's your mental limit? How far can you go? Well, you've been in the low 70s, Fred. 80% of people don't break 100.
Yeah.
So you're and who knows how much further you can go. You probably will.
I got to keep doing interviews. I got to keep learning from guys like you.
There you go.
That's exactly how it works.
That's exactly how it works, man.
Let's take another time out. We'll be back right after this. I'm fascinated to ask this question because I've heard the term so many times and I don't know whether to believe it or not. Is there such thing as muscle memory from your perspective?
Oh, sure. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Really?
And yeah. Oh, sure. And muscle memory, it's the important thing to remember about muscle memory is it involves your brain. We have a tendency to think, and as long as let's just clarify, when you say muscle memory, you mean something that you need to train your muscles to do over and over again. It seems it's very interesting. Neuroscience is really kind of is having its day in the sun right now, as far as all these psychological approaches go. But they're finding out a lot of stuff about your body that has really your brains and your muscles have their own neurological loops that run by themselves. Now, your brain kind of oversees the whole thing, but your muscles, just look at reaction times and stuff. Your body reacts to stuff all the time, and it's not involving your brain. It involves your central nervous system. But what happens is this. When you say muscle memory, that's true. However, especially on a golf course, people start thinking. When they start thinking, it changes the muscle memory. If you were able to literally just cut off your head, you'd probably play a lot better than you do right now. So sometimes the very, very best advice you can give somebody on a golf course is to turn your head off. And that's why if you go to my website, there's a couple of, in fact, part of the training is what I call kill switches. And kill switches are several, 3 or 4 different ways that you can shut your brain down and just play. They're pretty popular because most people have this problem. Muscle memory will work for you if you get out of the way. And obviously, you got to spend time. You've hit a lot of golf balls, Fred. You've hit a lot of them. You've had some well. You've had some not well. You've trained yourself. You've developed this ability to know how to hit a golf ball right. Well, your body, you may be a lot better than you think you are, because when your brain gets in the way, man, things get messed up, and your brain will start to run off with the show, and your body starts to suffer because your body wants to hit great shots, but your head won't let it, and then it makes the self-talk worse. So the question becomes, how do you get out of your own way? Pretty interesting question.
And one that's been posed since this program started with Dr. Joe Parent. The problem, he says, the thing that I do is I help golfers get out of their own way. Yep. That's huge. And hopefully what we're doing here at MindRev Labs is giving people 2, 3, 4 step approaches to doing that. It's kind of what makes this different, I guess, because, again, I feel like I'm more of a mechanic than I'm a psychologist. So, because there are mechanical steps that make things happen, actually mechanical steps that you're already doing in a lot of other areas of your life. Now you just have to bring it into your golf game, because you probably already know how to shut your mind off, and let your body just run. If you've ever had sex, get your brain out of the way. Let your body just go. Now, I know that sounds strange. It'll make people's eyes roll. And now everybody in the audience, their mind is drifting off somewhere. Come back right now. Your body knows how to do it. And if you can learn some very, very simple steps to get your head out of the way, your game just improves, and you have more fun. You have a lot more fun. I think you just came up with the title of this show, which is, if you cut off your head, you'd play better golf. Yeah. I think that's the name of this episode.
There you go. Something easier said than done.
That'll generate some clicks, don't you think?
Get some going. Yeah, that's good. It's probably better than the sex approach to better golf or something.
I don't know, because you were talking about
sex, I don't know.
I don't know. You said if you pee people, and you said pee, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're just talking about sex now. Wait a minute, stop it. It's a family show. All right. So why is MindRev Labs? There is a element of it called MindRev Golf. Mm-hmm. What is unique about MindRev Golf that sets it apart from other mental approaches?
We all know that golf is a very unique game. Golf is highly addictive. It gets anybody that plays the game knows it's just a very, very unique game, unlike any other game any of us play. But when it gets right down to the basics of focus, consistency, confidence, well, these are kind of the same general emotional states that make anybody successful in any area. When I first began I mentioned this back in my grad school days, I worked for an outfit called the Academy of Sports Psychology. And there we were working with a lot of race car drivers at the time to help them relax and just basically go faster. And going fast in a car or on skis or on skates or anything else, it's all in your head. It's all a head game.
And you have to have complete, total focus if you're driving a race car, or
you've really got to be in the zone, man. You really do.
If you lose it for a second, you could die.
So that's a really, really high risk, high reward game, and you really have to have your head straight. Well, what happened was, Fred, is we started looking in other areas like people that were financial advisors or salespeople or executives that, kind of the same thing, the same sorts of emotional states needed to come into play there too. So I spent a lot of time working in the financial industry with people that need to make things happen in high stress situations. It's really almost identical. The difference is that those aren't necessarily supposed to be fun. Golf is supposed to be fun. So you end up driving yourself crazy with something that's supposed to be fun, and it ends up being a very, very complicated experience for most people.
Well,
That's when I started. That's what they call it a game. So that's the reason I started to focus in on golf a little bit and say, you know what, I think I can help people enjoy this game more, get their unconscious brain under control, the thing that's running all by itself, and so it doesn't run off on you, so that you can keep it under control. You can know when your brain is going someplace that it is not going to help you to go. And the more I got into it, of course, I'm a golfer. The more I got into it and started sharing these ideas with other people, the more they really appreciated the help and they started to enjoy it more. To me, as I've gotten older, my perspective in life has moved from being highly competitive to how can we just make this, the best round of your life? How can I really have fun doing this? How can I help other people do the same thing if I've got something? So that's how MindRev Golf really got going. And it's been a fun.
It's not about competition golf. It's just about your own game.
No. And I'll tell you what, the people that are on tour
to competitive.
It can be applied. Absolutely. I mean, the people that are playing at the highest level, the PGA right now, they're doing something with their brains that most other people don't do, in addition to just hitting a billion balls. But they've learned a few things that anybody can learn. It's funny when I watch golfers on tour or whenever I'm working with golfers up close and personal, you can watch their brains at work. And using some of these MindRev techniques, you can decipher what they're doing and just sort of watch it happen. Wow. And it's the consistency among top performers in every arena is pretty much the same. That doesn't mean that Steve Jobs is a great golfer. I don't know that he even played the game, but the idea here is that a lot of these emotional states that make people really, really excel, they're kind of the same in all arenas. And golf has its own unique way of putting those skills into play. So that's what we try to do.
So tell me what happens when I go to mindrevlabs.com. What am I looking for? What do I get to do?
Well, you know what? You can go to either mindrevlabs.com or mindrevgolf.com. Either one. They both go to it's my training facility. Online videos. We've got several different things there broken up into different categories, including sports, something I call MindRev Black, which is influencing people in a subconscious kind of a way. And then we also have something there, a channel on there for life success. It's using these mind control. I really hate to use that term.
Sure.
But that's really what we're doing here. We're taking it. I prefer to use brain control because you're really just controlling what your brain's doing.
But you're controlling it, not somebody else controlling it.
Not somebody else or it running itself, the whole 99. Yeah, it's like you're running the show. Yeah. Then the last one is, so you can go there, you can take courses on all this stuff. When I say take courses, you're watching videos, and I run you through a lot of exercises to train you how to really sharpen up your senses, what you're seeing, inside and outside, what you're hearing, feeling, smelling, and so on. And then the last category we have there is called the research portal. I'm constantly coming out with new techniques to use, but I like to have people go through the training and give me ratings so I can know that they're going to work or not. So you can come to the research portal. What I'd like to do, in fact, Fred, I really appreciate you having me on your show. I mean, any listener that comes on here, I normally make the entire library available to anybody for $99 for a year. But we can certainly make a special offer here to the listeners of Golf Smarter, and just I'd be happy to do it for $49. It gives you access to everything that I've got, all the techniques, and of course access to me and so on. I can't pay anybody to do my research for me, right? I can't pay her for taking the training. But what I can do is, if you participate in the research, in any of my research projects, I got a couple of them up there right now. If you jump into that research portal, basically what you do is you take the training and you do just a real short survey on what you learned. And for that, it'll take you about 20 minutes. For that, I will give you free access to the whole library for 30 days. So if you can't afford the $49 to get on the to do the Golf Smarter option, you can feel free to jump in the research portal, do one of the research experiences for me, and I'll give you free access. This is particularly good if you've got a juniors golfer, perhaps a kid that you really want to see them go further in the game and they need some mental training. This is a great opportunity for them. They can basically get the training for free. And we all know young golfers, we want to say, we see that they've got some talent. We want to help them out. This is a great, just point them to the research portal, get them in one of the trainings, and then they have access to the whole thing for free for 30 days. All they would need to do is basically go to the, just go to MindRev Golf and .com. And it gives you the ability to sign up and get the Golf Smarter, make the Golf Smarter choice, and you get the discount.
Awesome. That's very generous. Thank you very much. Sure. So again, just make sure you use Golf Smarter, one word, at checkout, and
that's it.
You'll either get the option of the $49 instead of $99 or completely free for 30 days.
Absolutely.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Bill. It's been fascinating conversation. I really appreciate you finding me and bringing up this topic because I love this
Fred, and Fred, I appreciate what you do. This game is supposed to really be enjoyed, and the better you play, the more you enjoy it. And everything we can do to make that easier is a pretty good goal. So thank you for what you do.
If you're new to Golf Smarter, welcome. Glad to have you on board. Now, Golf Smarter isn't here to report and analyze what's happening on the PGA Tour. You probably figured that out by now. It's about making each of us smarter, better golfers. And even though my primary focus is securing these interviews so that I can play better, I do my best to introduce a lot of perspectives from a wide variety of guests. So if you don't agree with what you heard today, stick around because you could hear something next week that will sing to you like no other coach you've met, seen, or heard. Honestly, I don't always agree or even understand what some of our experts are talking about, but as long as I can extract one great nugget to lower my score or increase my confidence from each conversation, I'll take it. And hopefully you will too. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened with Bill today because I thought he was fascinating. But I will get emails saying, this is not something I agree with. Okay, I appreciate that. All I ask is you stick around for another episode or two, check them out, and you're going to hear things that are fascinating to you, whether it's golf lifestyle or game improvement, mental game, putting, equipment, whatever it is. We cover a lot of those topics that don't cover the PGA Tour, so I ask you to stick around. Now, the main reason to keep up to date with our new episodes is that twice each month we do a random drawing for some hand-selected prizes. Most of these prizes are associated with an interview so that you can learn more about what you can win. Our next giveaway is for a custom-fit, brand-new putter from Seemore Putters with a patented rifle scope technology. I truly appreciate the generosity from our friends at Seemore.com, Seemore. Seemore.com. Since I put a Seemore putter in my bag a few years ago, my index has dropped nearly 5 full strokes and has me right now at my lowest single-digit handicap index in my life. So win one for yourself. Go to golfsmarter.com and click on the prize giveaway banner at the top of the homepage. Deadline to enter is midnight Pacific time, Sunday, July 5th, 2020. And if you're on the East Coast or anywhere else, you need a perspective, it's 3 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday, 3 a.m. Right? Does that make sense? Okay. July 5th, midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern. This week on Golf Smarter Mulligans, we continue our conversations on the mental game by opening our listener mailbag with Dr. Robert K. Winters, resident sports psychologist for the David Leadbetter World Golf Academy teaching headquarters, to answer your questions. And here's a taste of something from the episode that we all need to remember.
The golf ball has no ego. The golf ball could care less. Dr. Kerry Middlecoff said back in the 50s and 60s, I really came to the realization that the golf ball and the game doesn't really care what I do. 500 million people could give a hoot whether I make this 3-foot putt for the Masters or not. My wife will still love me. My dog will still recognize me. I'll still have a good meal tonight. So why am I putting so much pressure on myself? He was able to reframe the situation to take the pressure off of him. But he came to the realization that really the golf ball doesn't care. And sometimes we care way too much. So I think we need to kind of get back to that single common denominator that, hey, this is a game about getting the ball in the hole in the most economical manner, efficiently and effectively. And if we can do that, we are well on our way to playing great golf.
That's from episode 63 that will be released this Friday. Golf Smarter Mulligans is pulled from the archives of 400-plus hours of Golf Smarter that are no longer available on any podcast distributor. Golf Smarter on Tuesdays, Golf Smarter Mulligans to prep you for your weekend every Friday. Please subscribe to both of these podcasts wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, use @GolfSmarter on social media or just click on the Hey Fred button at golfsmarter.com.